My dear children of class 8, good morning. Today we are going to study the third lesson in history. Welcome back to history, part 2 of chapter 3, ruling the countryside. In this chapter, we will see how the English East India Company came to colonize the countryside, that is our Indian villages. In our previous learning session, we discussed about the permanent settlement, Mahalwari and Ryotwari systems. Okay. In today's class, we will discuss about the crops for Europe. Okay. That is cultivation of commercial crops. Dear children, under British rule, commercial crops were cultivated in India to serve as a raw materials for European industries. The commercial crops included indigo for dyeing cloth, mulberry, okay, M-U-L-B-E-R-R-Y, mulberry for rearing silkworms, cinchona, C-A-N-C-H-O-N-A, cinchona for quinine, okay. Poppy seeds, P-O-P-P-Y, poppy seeds, kasagasa, for opium, tea, coffee, sugar, etc. These crops were grown on large estates called plantations, and their owners were called planters. Most of the planters in India belonged to Europe, Britain or Europe. Okay, can you understand, children? The British realized, okay, that the countryside, our rural side, could not only yield revenue of land revenue and other things, it could also grow the crops that Europe required. Opium trade in Chinese history is the traffic that developed in the 18th and 19th centuries, in which the Western countries, mostly Great Britain, exported opium grown in India and sold to China. Okay, the British used the profits from the sale of opium to purchase such Chinese luxury goods as porcelain, silk and tea from China, which were in great demand in the West. Okay, so the British realized that the countryside, our Indian rural areas, villages could not only yield revenue, it could also grow the crops that Europe required. The East India Company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo. Okay. What is opium? Opium is a drug, okay, which we get from poppy seeds, our kasagasa. What is the crop indigo? What is indigo plant used for? Dear children, for many years, the leaves of certain indigo plants were used to make dye to color fabrics, a rich blue in color. Okay, it was once the most commonly used natural dye in the world. British forced cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops. For example, jute in Bengal, tea in Assam, sugarcane in the United Provinces. United Provinces, now we call it as Uttar Pradesh. Wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, rice in Madras, okay, that is rice in Chennai. How was this done? The British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of crops that they needed. Dear children, let us take a closer look at the story of one such crop and one such method of production. Okay. You know very well, indigo is a natural blue dye extracted from a plant which is used for coloring cloth. It was a popular dye in India. Since ancient times, it was also exported. Okay. The children, the word indigo, I-N-D-I-G-O, indigo is derived from the Greek word indicon, I-N-D-I-K-O-N, indicon, and the Latin word indicum, I-N-D-I-C-U-M, which means from India. Okay, since the 17th century, the indigo was exported from India by the English East India Company for use in textile industries in England. Okay. Last in our previous session, we discussed about the permanent settlement. Under the permanent settlement, the indigo planters received zamindari rights and reduced the actual cultivators to tenants. The planters had to borrow money from local bankers and from European agency houses, that is similar to our banks, for growing indigo and building factories. Okay, children? So, children, let us move on to our next topic. What are all the methods of indigo production? Indigo production was organized in two manners. One is Ryoti system, another one is niche system. Okay, RYOTI, Ryoti, and NIG niche system. In the Ryoti system, the planters came into contract with the ryots. That means the planters, they will give advance to the ryots. Ryot means local farmers or cultivators to cultivate indigo and transport the same to the factories at very low prices. The ryots use their own labor, the bullocks, okay, etc. The planters usually claimed that the advances were loans which the peasants could repay only by continually supplying indigo. If they refused to do so, the result was brutal beating, seizing of cattle, and destruction of houses, etc. by the planters. Our planters, indigo planters, they hired Lathials, Lathials, Lathials. Okay, Lathials means, you know very well about Lathi. Lathi means big stick. Lathials means usually men armed with lathis. Lathis, lathis are sticks. The peasants, you were in no position to fight back. As the legal system favored the planters, in the niche system, the planters bought or rented land to grow indigo. They hired cultivators on daily wages along with their instruments, okay, that plows and carts and bullocks to produce and transport indigo. Both the systems were oppressive for the local cultivators, and that led to revolts in the mid-19th century. Okay, children, what is the difference between niche cultivation and Ryoti cultivation? NIG niche and RYOTI. In niche cultivation, the planters themselves produce indigo, while under Ryot system, the planters get indigo produced by Ryot. Okay. The niche cultivation, planters directly employ hired labor to produce indigo, while in Ryot system, the planters force the Ryot to sign an agreement to produce indigo. Okay, can you understand, children? Dear children, look at this picture. This picture shows a kalamkari print created by weavers of Andhra Pradesh in India. Okay. The next picture, it is a floral cotton print designed and produced by William Morris, a famous poet and artist of 19th century Britain. What is the common between both the pictures? There is one thing common in the two prints. Both use a rich blue color. Can you be able to see this? It's commonly called indigo. Do you know how this color was produced? The blue that you see in these prints were produced from a plant called indigo. It's likely that the blue dye used in the Morris prints in the 19th century, Britain was manufactured from indigo plants cultivated in India. For India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at the time. Okay. Okay, children. Why the demand for Indian indigo? What is the special thing in Indian indigo? Indigo plant grows primarily in the tropics. Tropics means what? That the tropics include the equator and parts of North America, South America, Africa, Asia and Australia. By the 13th century, the Indian indigo was being used by cloth manufacturers in Italy, France, and Britain and to dye cloth. Okay. However, only a small amounts of Indian indigo reached the European market and its price was very high. European cloth manufacturers had to depend on another plant called woad, W-O-A-D, woad, to make violet and blue dyes. Being a plant of the temperate zones, woad was more easily available in Europe. It was grown in northern Italy, southern France, and the parts of Germany and Britain. So, the woad producers in Europe forced the government to ban the import of indigo. They worried by the competition from indigo planters. Okay. Cloth dyers, however, they preferred indigo as a dye. Indigo produced a rich blue in color, whereas the dye from woad was pale and dull. By the 17th century, European cloth producers forced their governments to relax the ban on indigo import. The French began cultivating indigo in the Caribbean islands, and the Portuguese in Brazil, the English peoples in Jamaica, and the Spanish in Venezuela. The indigo plantations also came up in many parts of North America. Plantation means a large farm operated by planter employing various forms of forced labors. Okay, the plantations are associated with the production of coffee, sugarcane, tobacco, tea, and cotton. Okay, children. By the end of 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. The Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically. The new demand for cloth dyes, the demand for Indian indigo increased. Okay, the existing supplies from West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. Between 1783 and 1789, the production of indigo in the world fell by half. The cloth dyers in Britain, they looked for a new source of indigo supply. Okay, children. From where could this indigo be obtained? Okay, that we will see in our next chapter. The lesson is over for today. Read textbook pages 30 to 31. I am sending you questions and answers in the form of short answer and long answer. Write in your classwork note. The lesson is over for today. Have a good day, children. See you next week. Stay home, stay safe, and stay blessed. Thank you.